Hi, friends, and welcome back to the Dana Show. I'm Dana Kaplan, and this is the place where I get to bring you conversations with people from Israel and around the world, voices that inspire, challenge, and remind us of what resilience looks like today. Today, I'm sitting down with Khalifa Khalifa. He's part of the Druze community, a small minority in Israel with a huge role. The Druze stand shoulder to shoulder with us, serving in the IDF and shaping the fabric of our society. But at the same time, in Suwayda, Syria, the Druze are under enormous pressure from political expression to economic collapse, and their struggle is deeply tied to our region and our future. Khalifa was the first Druze soldier in the elite Okitz unit, and today he's a podcaster, an activist who brings powerful insights into identity, belonging, and what minorities in Israel can teach us about unity and strength. If you enjoy this episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And if you'd like to support the show, there's also a Buy Me a Coffee link to help keep this thing going. I'm Yisrael Chai. Let's get into it. I'm really excited to meet you.
Likewise.
Honestly, have you seen anything that I've done?
I did. I can't remember because you sent me, and I can't remember who were you talking with. But I said, that's awesome."
Yeah,
I've seen it before, but
you can't miss this whole
exactly.
design.
Yeah. So something in the energy just passed through me. I can't remember who you were talking about because I consume so much content.
I know.
And I
I know.
speak like so many people are talking to me, and at every second, and I have like tens of WhatsApps, and I get overwhelmed by that. So my way to avoid it is just listen to something and go for a run, and try to do my daily practice because it is overwhelming. Did I tell you that I'm a shepherd?
A shepherd?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
This is what I do.
I'm jealous.
Well, you have you have good reason to be jealous because first of all, it's a job that's fun to have my kid with. Yeah, like, do you want to go to the farm? Hell yes. And
It's like right by your house, or you live on the farm?
no, it is like a decent distance from my house. It's just on the other end of the village that I live in. But first of all, it's on a beautiful scenery where you have a Ramat David Air Force base underneath. So you have this very serene, like very, how do you say, like
Pastorally?
exactly pastorally view.
Yeah.
But between once in a while, you have those jet fighter pilots, jet pilot. What is the name? Aircrafts. That's the word. Just booming out of air, and it's oh my god, that's so.
Where did you get your English from? How do you know English so well?
First of all, thank you because I always get intimidated by speaking in English because it's like approaching different roles in my mind. So I had times where I wake up and I started speaking in Arabic with a Jewish friend, or I start dreaming in Hebrew. So it gets
So
all
confused.
and to make it more confusing, I studied also Russian and Spanish. But I think in the past year it became much better, my English, but I had to do it. I had to speak with people, and basically by listening, learning, like reading. I love to read a lot, and for me it's like approaching a different way of thinking because in English it's a verb, like it is a language of verbs. You can't, like in Hebrew, say I beautiful, I am. You are doing something all the time, and then you can see the logic how it builds in the language itself, and it's a rich language, and I love it. So for me, it's like opening a door to different societies, different way of thinking.
You said just now that you're a shepherd, but that's not your only job. You're like you work as a reporter, you do press, you do lots of other things as well. Wait, before you say something else, I want to ask, how much money do you make as a shepherd? What's the mascoret for a shepherd?
No, well, it is. I don't do it for the money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't do it
Okay.
for the money, but it's like 40 shekels an hour. I work for someone,
Okay.
and it's a small money. But for me, it's first of all, it's a job to have my kid with because most of my time I'm on my phone, on my podcast studio, and I'm doing things that she can't relate to. Although I do sometimes come and see her sitting on my desk and say, "Hey, don't interrupt! I'm podcasting with Trump and Bibi now." Or I say, "Where did you get that from?" Or I'm singing whatever Katy Perry or whatever that is. Um, so, I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
I started working with this guy. I the way I started walking there is I was walking because I'm really in love with the village I live in, the mountain, Mount Carmel, that I didn't appreciate most of my life. And after COVID, I fell in love in the place that I grew in. So I wanted to discover every point of it. So I do a lot of hiking, a lot of bicycles, a lot of running all the time. And I was discovering a new place, and I used to be a canine trainer. I used to serve in orchids,
Right.
and then this huge Caucasian shepherd just ran out to me and rolled on her back. Come pet me now, and I start like petting her, and we get to know each other. So the next day, I told my daughter, "You must come and see this dog. Like it's beautiful." And near the dog, you have this beautiful farm, and we did go there, and we met the dog, and it was beautiful. And I start asking, "Who's this place for? And do they need workers?" And he said he agreed. Like he always need for extra pair of hands, and I came. And 2 weeks to the process, I was, well, like it was in the spring, beautiful green. The sheep are herding in the mountains, and I came with my daughter, and the shepherd was there, and we were talking, and all of the sudden he noticed that one of the sheep is giving birth. So I'm here with my 8 years old daughter, and we're having this beautiful experience. Like she didn't look at first because it was like intense, because the first boil, the first lamb came out dead. So we needed to deliver the second one, and then and it gets messy with blood and all kind of things. So we pulled it out, and then my daughter got some courage to look around, and after everything was ended, and she looked, and then she saw the mother licking the baby, and he's standing, and I call it like a near life experience when you uh, like experience such an event that gets you so close to living, basically. And I said, like, my 8 years old daughter saw something that my friends who learned, to
The
be
miracle of life.
exactly, and they didn't have the chance to witness it, and this is why I'm loving it. Like,
Well, your ancestors, Yitro, he was also a shepherd, right?
yeah,
Jethro. And that's something that I actually learned recently, that's where you guys come from, the Jews come from, right?
yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get into this.
And he was a smart person because I always tell it in my lectures that it's not a coincidence in my eye that you in the Druze flag you have the colors of both the Israeli and the American flag. Because if you look at the judicial system of the United States, it's based on the advice that Jethro gave to Moses, basically, to try to give away from your power to other people who can, bury the burden. And this is what makes it so great. And I do say that once I became shepherd, I noticed that I became a bit smarter, just looking on the herd mentality of how they behave and what they do. It is beautiful. I love it. I love every second of it. Unlike, the intense world that I live in my daily life, day in, day out, a lot of messages in the internet and the telegram.
Wow, you're very hard to reach.
Yeah. Yeah.
From personal experience.
Well, yeah, I do my best.
No, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. A couple years ago, I went to a festival in Portugal, and it was a music festival, and they had this common area there. There were thousands of people there, and there's this area where people come to like charge their phones and stuff like that. And I was sitting there, and there was a guy sitting next to me, and we started a conversation. I asked him what language he speaks. So he says Arabic, English, and Hebrew. I'm like, really? I'm like, wow, you're Israeli? He's like, yeah. I said, are you Jewish? He's like, no, I'm Druze.
Nice.
And he was like the nicest guy I've ever met. He told me that he comes it's every 2 years, this festival. He left his wife at home. He was a young guy like you,
Nice.
but super cool, very educated. And I was so impressed with his behavior, how friendly he was. I started to like do a little bit more research on Druze because you guys are such an important part of this country.
Thank you.
Even though you're a minority, you're still very, very essential to this country, not only because of your presence, but also because of the symbolism of the fact that we can have peace.
We lead by example. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. And we represent by being ourselves just how things could be different, instead. It tells a lot about the environment that we live in. And it tells a lot about, how the Jewish state or the people, the Jewish people are so, I want to say like desperate. It's not desperate, just as a matter of speech,
Okay.
to have love, and I say always that the best friend of the Jewish people are the Druze, because you can, say a lot of things about Trump or the United States or whatever that, or Jewish people and diaspora, but we are fighting the same war together. And that's the beauty of it. And
Why are Druze like that? Why do Druze become very patriotic to the country that they're in? It's not just in Israel, but it's in other countries as well.
and we are producing a lot of Zionists, Druze Zionists. In Syria, they are waving the Israeli flag, and they have, like here in Israel, we have villages that you will never see an Israeli flag, and people in Syria I just saw it this morning. Someone driving with his car with the Israeli flag, and I said, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!" And that's really the thing that I start to notice 2 years ago when I started to learn about the Druze people in Syria and why, like, hey.
You don't have relatives there? Do you know people there?
Well, as I told you, that my podcast started with me speaking to my father.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's Khalifa Shrugged.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was in a very dark moment in my life, but because COVID hit me hard, and I started my creativity work or journey from a very, very bad place that I've been through. Like in COVID, I had my whole world collapsing.
I mean, from what perspective?
Well, I got divorced. I had a business who collapsed. I got in debt. And I had a real crisis with Israel as a state because once we had COVID and I've seen how they dealt with it, I couldn't believe that this is the country that I fought all my life. You know, free speech, free thinking. I'm a free spirit. I've always been so much like in Hebrew. My podcast is Mered Khalifim. It's the Khalifa's rebellion. I'm a rebellious person. And I always challenge the borders. Let's see, so let's call it this way. But I was afraid of my father, and I started questioning everything.
You're afraid of your father?
I was afraid on my father's life, meaning like we have this plague, we have this
Okay.
we had like COVID came in, and I said, okay, maybe from all this from this lemon, let me make some lemonade and try to see how much do I really know this person and how he sees us, the Druze, his identity. I was always, in conflict with my Druze identity. I hated it most of my life.
Really?
Yeah. I really hated being Druze. I really hated my name. It's Khalifa Khalifa. I really hated that I'm not living in Tel.
Did you try to change your name?
I never did. Like I have, when I lived in New York, my name was James McCormick. Yeah.
What?
When I,
What?
well, it's just just for fun, because I'm not Irish in any way, shape, or form. And in Hebrew, I have also Nir Farkash, and just to avoid,
I think we met.
yeah, maybe. The names make no sense. Like I'm not Ashkenazi in any way, but
Hilarious.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's just to avoid, the questions, because every time I have a calling with, like a service, and people ask me my name, it takes like 10 minutes to try to convince them that my name is Khalifa Khalifa. And in Hebrew, it sounds like Khalifa, which is a suit.
Right.
So when I started my podcast, got I got my revived my name from youth, because my uncle used to call me Darwish, and that's only because if people need to Google my name, they will get Khalifat Khatan, they will get the suits for weddings.
That's right.
So I start asking my father, who are we? What is being Druze? Because one part of being Druze, that if you are a secular person like myself, the religion itself, because it's secretive and I can't open the books and start, connecting with my religion.
You can't as a Druze?
I can't.
Only the sheikh that could do it?
Only the sheikhs.
Why?
Do it. And even the sheikhs, it's not a practical religion, because it's not like you have a siddur, you need to wake up and have certain prayers. It is quite unique religion.
Yeah, how do you practice? How do you practice being a Druze? What are your like minhagim? Like what are
That's a big part of it, why I was so conflicted with my identity, because most of my life I was well, most of my time was practicing being Israeli, or somehow I had more Jewish pilgrimage than or ceremonies rather than Jews. So in some point I have my spirit and mind in the east, but my legs in the east and my mind is in the west, and I'm conflicted between those two. I also I have a tattoo here. I have a plus, and here on a minus. I'm bipolar with the very different aspects of my life, and my identity was a key thing that kept it went along with me all my life. Even when I studied philosophy, one of my seminars in philosophy of science was trying to compare between the Druze identity in Israel and the Jewish identity in Europe uh, before the collapse of the Habsburg Empire. Try to uh, see how Jewish people used to live in outside in the public sphere as just like the next guy, and in their house they used to have their practices as Jewish people, lighting candles and Hanukkahs and all those things. But we had the same thing like in the public sphere, even in our names. And you can see it by generation and generation that Jewish people will name their names or their kids' name to names that will sound Jewish somehow. Some of them will name people like Alon, which is proper Hebrew name, or my brother named his son, his elder son, Arbel, which is like a Hebrew name.
Yep.
And I used to laugh about it because a person will get the name of the elder son, so he's gonna become Abu Arbel. It doesn't sound good, And I said, "Come on, you're becoming too Ashkenazi for us," but that's part of it. And you can see that, and even in the Druze community, people that live in Mount Carmel, which is the southeast, closest to Tel Aviv, are perceived as more secular or more Jewish for the other Jews who live up north, that they think of themselves like more rooted in their culture.
Wait, so what do you guys do to practice being a Druze?
So
You said you don't have a Siddur. You don't have minhagim. Do you have minhagim? Customs?
I know what a customs is, but we only have one true holiday, which is Eid al-Adha. We have others, but it's just only to try to compare the holiday or the days off for people who work, basically. So we invented few good days and made holidays out of them. So in Eid al-Adha, other than buying meat and having family gathering, it doesn't have any spiritual
No.
practice. Yes.
What about like weddings and like you don't have obviously a bar mitzvah? Do you have something that's like that?
No, and this is something. Well, in wedding,
I'm sorry, I'm like throwing all these questions at you, but I'm so curious and I want to get all the information.
Weddings, we have the sheikh coming and he will speak things and do what rabbis do, basically. So it's not really involving your daily life,
Okay.
unless you are religious. Those who are religious have mutual gathering, if they have their own ceremonies and do all kind of things, but it's more like just to hold a society. It's not something that they are compelled to do.
And yet, you guys, the Druze, have been around for hundreds of years. You've been able to maintain this religion for this long under some kind of secrecy.
Yeah.
And even it sounds like it's so secret that even you don't know.
Well, yeah.
Why?
And it is fascinating because the more I tried to learn about it, the more I got curious, and I said, okay, I don't know how deep is this thing, because the first thing that you need to learn about the Druze, that we believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
So the religion itself was open for 23 years, like 1,000 years ago. We had an invitation for people to come and become Druze. And in the year 1043, we closed it and we said, you can't become Druze. And Druze is a birth given right. So
I was born 1,000 years too late.
Well, yeah,
I missed the boat.
well, yeah, we believe that everybody had the invitation and
Yeah.
just preferred it your way,
Okay.
which is great because you just mentioned Jethro.
Right.
And there's a discrepancy of like more than 2,000 years ago. What happened? So this is exactly what we believe in. We believe that we used to live with the Jewish people. We used to live with the Christian people. We used to live with the Muslim people. And we had all those affinities to all those spiritual journeys, just say. And after that, we closed an interpretation for us for all those periods. And we said, okay, we have our own way to think over it. And just to make it more complicated, people like Aristotle or Plato are sacred for us. They are true prophets and Archimedes and all. And we say, what, how, what, and why? And this is why you said about earlier about the friend that you met in the Ozora. It was
No, it was called the ZNA.
is the ZN.
Do you know that? Do you know that festival?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm a
fine.
party boy myself.
Okay.
so I know.
Okay, we'll talk about that afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is why you said was very educated, and that's like very similar to the Jewish people, and that's a key identification note about the Jews that they somehow really aspire to knowledge. It's some people will argue that it's not a religion; it's more of a philosophy, and try to
Wow.
yeah, because you don't have the daily practices, but you always seek the true nature of things and try to become and aspire to a better person. Like I could read Marcus Aurelius and I say, wow, that's very Druze of him, trying to overcome your daily desires and your, healthy needs and aspire to the mind, to the a unity with the divine or seek the divine within yourself. That's all things that inherent to the Druze belief, and this is what makes it so fascinating in my eyes. This is why I learned when I went to study in the university, I had no question. I studied philosophy because I wanted to get close to those things without committing to become a religion person. And I wanted to see how the Western world will see it, because if you read Plato, there's a lot of things about, the lover and things that was accustomed in the period of, having elderly man sleeping with a child and, bringing him to society as some sort of a mentorship that today it seems so awkward, and having a lot of things, and yet we think that this person is sacred. And so I wanted to get, the formal uh, version and then get back to my roots. And it was very interesting because while studying philosophy, I learned that the writings of Aristotle, for example, got lost, and the people who brought it to the West were the Arabs, who had the scripts and brought it to the West, and this what made the Renaissance, because people got to know Aristotle for some point of time, and the Arabs are very proud of this achievement that they had. But when I used to study philosophy, I read Plato in Arabic, in Hebrew, in English, and then you will see that in Arabic they censored all things that doesn't really
Jive.
exactly. So things, maybe erotic or things like that. So it is funny how self-censorship will get you, like, how can you read such things without really understanding major parts out of it? So, as I said, we do think that the mind is somehow the better part of us, and we can really achieve spiritual uh, divinity in some way by trying to communicate or get in touch in this part. And you were asking me before about the Jewish people and the Druze people, why we are such a good friends with the Israelis. So the short answer for that, because in the Jewish state, we only like this is the only place that we are free to be who we are and determine who we are want to be, and we can be proud of being Druze and not trying to convince or try to hide it by saying that we are Muslims or anything like that. So Israel is great for us. It provides the best terms to become who we are. We choose to choose who we are, and there are a lot of similarities between the Jewish people and the Druze people, which is mind blowing. And it is no chance that we've became such a good. Do you know how many Jewish people there are in Israel?
Druze or Jewish?
Druze.
Druze, between 150,000 to 200?
154,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's it.
It's not a lot.
It is not a lot, but once you speak to a Druze person in Syria, first of all, they admire us because we help them a lot. For us, you know, it is very similar to Jewish community in the diaspora, let's say in Canada and United States, that, you know, donate to Israel.
Well, I thought about that. Yeah.
They are very connected to, you know, the soldiers. They pray for us, for them and everything. So for us, this like we are the uncle from the United States to those people in Syria, because we see them as,
They look at you as being fortunate.
Yes, that's first.
Yeah.
But because we live in the Jewish state, and, you know, we have the freedom to live the way we want to live, which is it's unthinkable in Syria, for example. They got slaughtered.
Yeah, I want to talk about Suwayda, but yeah.
Just for being Jews. The people that went to Suwayda, they came with one intent, is to eliminate anything that has any connection to the Druze, because they seemed as Jewish and because they seemed as friends of the Jewish people and the Jewish state.
That's why they were attacked, because they're friends with the Israelis?
Definitely. The whole thing started after April. Once you had Bashar al-Assad regime gone, the opportunity to have families united from Syria to Israel and, you know, get to connect and see each other, like we've been in decades that we couldn't communicate, we couldn't see each other.
Why not? You weren't allowed to pass through to Syria to see them?
No. For us, it was an enemy state. For them, Israel was an enemy state, and they got indoctrinized that Israel is led by satanic people. You know, we live in a very anti-Semitic environment. I don't know if you noticed that.
Just a little bit.
No, not a bit. So much so that today I argue that even speaking Arabic have anti-Semitic beliefs inherent in it. I know it's like a very vulgar statement, but believe me, I learned it even in the Druze community. When I used to be in high school, people will say we have a famous family called Nasreddin, who are very good friends with a lot of politicians and things like that. They are Zionists. They are very proud Zionists. But the way we use the egg, don't mind this guy. He's a Zionist. Like it's some kind of a curse. I truly, it took me a lot of time to understand that the Zionist, it's not something, you know, negative. It is a good thing. And it's like, it's a like cultural cargo that comes with the language. In my eyes, in my opinion, my only I represent.
I feel for you because in a certain way, because Um, your your do you call the other Arabs your brothers, cousins? I don't know how you look at the other, like Palestinians or Christians or Muslims. Like you have your own identity, and you still you love Israel. I mean, you support Israel, and yet you have people who are supposed to be on your side who look at you as almost like an enemy because you side with Israel.
No, they see me an enemy, even a worse enemy than the Israeli from it. And
Because you're like
it,
a heretic, because you
that's exactly so. It has
Okay.
like a religion background because, and this is why most of the Druze, most of the world, uh, except of Israel. Israel is the only exception. They try to camouflage themselves as, part of the Arab world, part of the Islamic world. Uh, and in Israel, we can be free and be who we are because according to Islamic belief, all the world's gonna become Muslim at some point. So you only need to have more people coming in, not leaving out. So historically, we started, as I told you, 1,000 years ago in Egypt, in the Fatimid Caliphate, which is part of the Muslim world. So for us saying no, but thank you, prefer it our way, it is a death sentence, basically. This is why the religion is so secretive, because it's saying, okay, I'm a part of Islam, but you are not allowed to learn, like read my script, my religious books. Uh, think of me whatever you wanna think of me, but just let me be, and I'm gonna respect you of who you are. And even this is too much to ask for, because the Muslim world, if you see, they give a lot of attention for the Druze community because they see us as heretics, as you said, and because we bounced back from Islam according to their eyes, so we are more infidels than the Jewish people. And if you think about it, even historically, when Muhammad lived, there was a phenomenon called Christians and Jews, and you have a textbook of how to deal with those people, but there was no such thing as Druze. This is why they hate us more, and this is why all the rage against the Jewish state, that people, because Israel is such a powerful state, they can't really fight them. And if there's something clear about October 7th, that it was a demonstration of what will happen if the Muslims or the Gazans were in charge of what's happening here. They gave us a clear glimpse, and and
tell me what your impression was on October 7th.
I
Where were you? What was your impression when it happened?
Oh, okay. So if you want to go to this rabbit hole, but the thing is, after COVID, I start trying to communicate that we are heading to major world. We are in a deep crisis, and not because like I'm a forecaster. I was looking on history books. There was a book called When Money Dies, and it tells the story of inflation of Germany prior to the Second World War, and you could see the patterns of what happens to societies when things get wrong. And I've seen like equivalent. It was, the anti-Semitic, the inflation, the situation that you always have this emergency situation that is getting worse by the time. And in my Miloim service, I was paying very close attention to Gaza. For me, Gaza was a fascinating place because I looked at it as a petri dish, 365 kilometers homogenic community that in a siege. They are ruling themselves, and you could see how they always got they became more and more extreme. They always chose the worst out of the outcomes because they always led the extremists to push them. Just a reminder, Hamas seen themselves as the modest people. They are not ISIS. We said Hamas is ISIS, but they saw themselves, as in Arabic it's called Haraka Wasatiyya, which means like we are the modest people. We are trying to bring the beauty of Islam to the world, and by doing so, by example, everybody will become Muslims. This is how they perceive themselves. And for me, like I was watching the whole thing from 2007, and I've seen to October 7. So all this just to say that on October 7, I was in better shape than I used to be in the army. I knew that this was not gonna take me in surprise because I got so surprised on COVID. I didn't anticipated that. So I did a lot of detox I didn't consume any media outlets in the mainstream because in my opinion, just the talking heads that will make you feel bad and will give you absolutely no knowledge about what's truly happening. This is why the only news app that I have is Telegram, that I see exactly what happened. Give me to the interpretation. I will do it myself. Just give me the plain events, and that's it. So it didn't got me by surprise. Like the first day, the first moment that I opened the Telegram, oh, okay, started. I knew this is my war. I didn't know uh, what I'm gonna do in this war, and
What do you mean? What do you mean when you said I knew this was my war?
I said that I knew that I have some sort of a role to have. It is a calling because, as I said, I've seen it happening. I tried to to speak out, but nobody is listening. People are busy, and I'm like a lousy podcaster. You need to do all sort of things, reels and things. I'm not so.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's endless work, basically. I said, okay, well, people will hear it, people will listen to it, and they will see. And I even discussed it with my father, saying, hey, I see this world. I from mid 21, let's say, I every day woke up with a question: what would I do if I was a Jewish person living in Berlin in, let's say, 1927 or 28, and I know for a fact what's gonna happen, because from where I was standing, I knew that the chances of this happening, a major thing, a major war, a major event, that, a black swan event that includes a lot of anti-Semitism, a lot of violence, a lot of, financial crisis, whatever that is, it is not a zero chance to have. It may be 10%. I hope that I will be mistaken. I hope it's not going to happen, but what is the benchmark? Is it 10%, 20%, 50%? So this is why I kept my physiques. I kept my mind of waking up. What would I do? How could I practice my life differently? And as I told you, it was in a very dark place, and I had a real crisis with Israel, and I was really considering to sell my house, to move to Thailand and just live there. And I said, okay, well, I have a daughter here, and I know that I could save my body or my soul and, get drunk on a beach on Bangkok, or I don't know, in Koh Samui or Koh Phangan. But then what? What values I will live by? What is the community that I'm going to be part of? So by these questions, I knew that I have no choice. Like I could be in dispute with Israel, I could be very have very bad feelings of my own experience as a Druze, all the hatred that I had for my identity, all the things that I thought about Israel, that it's not a democracy, that it is, some technocrat dictatorship that
Did you ever feel that way?
I did.
Okay.
I did badly.
Okay.
As I told you,
We'll get back to that. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and I had, as I told you, for me, the fact that they did and behaved the way they did on COVID, I'm still in therapy, trying to overcome all the hatred and all the depression and all the anxieties that I had, all the things. Prior to that, I was a very proud Israeli. And when that happened, I got broken, to be honest. Like, it shattered me. And this is why I laugh when people think that I'm doing hasbara. But for me, the only thing that changed on October 7, and this is why people are trying to get noticed about the things that I'm doing, is doing a very simple practice. Uh, the first practice that as I told you, this is my world. The first thing that I said when I've seen, and believe me, when I opened the Telegram on that morning and I saw what's happening, like, I've seen things in like 30 seconds. As I told you, Palestinian telegrams, everybody were excited and thrilled about the massacre happening, and see the sheer excitement and, exhilaration about the bloodshed and the vandalism. So I saw enough in a couple of minutes. But the first thing that I told to myself, this is not 100% bad. Just to remind myself that even so, the worst thing that just happened, my personal feeling of security, of safeness just shattered. And I knew that this is not going to end now. And I have no clue of what's going to happen. And I don't have a weapon myself. So
You feel like you were a target?
I felt that Hezbollah is gonna do something that I had about a gallon of gas that I had before that, prior to that, and I start thinking how I'm gonna do the Molotov bottles, something like I was in a, as I told you, I was prepared. I knew that this is gonna happen, and I was very scared. Um, and I didn't know how it's gonna end up. But even so, then I said it's not 100% bad. I know, like, it feels like end of the days and, Gog and Magog war, but ביחד ננצח, or whatever that is, we will prevail. It's not the end of it. And I didn't think we will prevail, or ביחד ננצח, or whatever that is. I only thought that even so, there is goodness in this, but I just failed to see it. And it's a very good reminder for myself, because as I told you, I could fall to depressions and, seeing all darkness. And w- going into the process, when things started to settle down somehow, a few months to the war, I start noticing the story of the Druze people in Suwayda, because at the time I start having conversation with people from there, trying to understand how they live their life and under which circumstances. On August 23, 2 months before the October 7, people in Sweden started a rebellion, or demonstrations against the Bashar al-Assad regime, and I got curious, like, well, what's happening over there? So I had a friend there that we've became very good friends, and I could talk with him on anything basically, and he will describe his reality, and it's like thousand times worse than what I had, because in the place I lived in, like for example, my daughter, my 1 year into the war, except of few sirens here and there, we kept living our life, and I still read Harry Potter for her, like, or whatever that is. She got a daily story and everything. Like we had a decent life, because Dalit al Carmel is a like a quiet place to live in. So, and I'm speaking with the Syrian Druze, and I see what terror circumstances he lives under, and he always finishes his sentences with saying, "Alhamdulillah." I was complaining about how, expensive Israel is, and how, everything here is taxed and everything is so unfree, and then I will speak with him and see that he's been working his ass off for like three shifts a day, just to try to build a house that in 2 years he could save $5,000, and it's such a great amount for him that he can't even know how he's gonna finish it, and his parents are helping, and they live in such a poor place, and he always finishes his sentences with alhamdulillah, which is thank God, that God is testing my personality, and he's bringing me to the test. I have to have this exception of everything, that to accept the things that God brings to me, because what God brings to me is true, and I need to accept it, and then I will ask myself how to behave. So first I need to say thank you. And this, like, daily talks with him, I spoke with him more than I spoke with any other person, more than my father, my brothers. He got to know me better than anybody else in the world, a guy that lived in Syria, and I got to know him by chance, because in my conversation with my father, he told me the village that my ancestors came from Syria, and it was just next to his village. By the way, it was a village that got destroyed now in the recent event. They just destroyed the whole village.
It's horrible.
It is. It is
Horrible.
such a and what's horrible about it, that they could do anything they want and nobody will speak about it. Like, if we, the Jewish people here in Israel, didn't try to raise the flag, like, hey, we have more than 2,000 people got slaughtered. 500 people are still missing. More than 123 women abducted, and they are now basically sex slaves to those monsters, and nobody is speaking about it. It I said, and the disgusting thing about it, that when this thing happened, it got stopped only because Israel say
Then
it stepped in and intervened, and bombed in Damascus. The day later, I got interviewed by South African radio, and the interviewer read to me the statement of the government, and they condemned Israel for attacking Damascus. And I said, Omar, I got furious. Like, it is one thing to say, hey, I need to learn more about it. I don't know the whole details, but knowing that, first of all, let's blame the Jews, and then
everything is our fault.
the story will start to build up on that narrative. It was disgusting.
Why are Muslims so violent? Why is their answer to everything killing?
Well, first of all, if you look up on it historically, they came from a scarcity mentality. So prior to Muhammad, people will bury their own daughters because there's only much food in the desert. Like Bedouin tribes are very, very violent, and they are fighting for the means to survive. That's a thing. Second thing, I think that is more relevant to our time, except the heritage of being so ferocious, or I don't know, great fighters as they see themselves. I think that it's envy. I think that the
That jealousy makes you do crazy things.
yes, and you don't need me to understand that.
Yeah,
But
irrational.
in their eyes, they got the best religion, and they have blind belief in this religion, and they believe in it in a way that even if they believe in the um, of the transmitter, like if it's a sheikh or it's whatever that is, he said something, then it's a divine word, and we're gonna believe him blindly because they have, in their opinion, the latest version of the spoken word of God to humanity, because Muhammad said there's not gonna be any prophets after me. Like, God stopped talking to humanity after me, and it worked perfectly for them as long as they conquered and occupied and became larger, and it was a proof for the true nature of their belief until they collapsed 100 years ago in the First World War. And ever since, they are fighting of who's gonna take charge to bring us back and conquer the Western world, conquer the all the other religion. As I said, as a collective, it is something that everybody needs to acknowledge, that they aspire to make everybody Muslim. So because it's a prophecy, so they need to work accordingly. This is why people that flee from Syria go and bring the own things that shattered Syria to Germany, and they try to undermine the culture that they like that got them.
Yeah.
So and more than that, there's an envy against the Jews in particular, because God chose the Jews before the.
We sound the same, Druze
Yeah.
and Jews. It's hard.
I always say that
Yeah.
Druze and Jews are the same, but Jews are with no benefits because we don't have the idea.
Do you still feel the same now that the whole entire world hates us?
Well,
They don't hate you,
they do.
but the rest of the world, the whole diaspora,
well,
they made all those protests. They're not about Druze. They're about Jews.
because they let's think of it. Let's settle all the big Satan and the small Satan. So we are the small. Yes. This is how it is.
How does it make you feel when you hear about all of the anti-Semitism and all the negative things they say about Israel in the diaspora all over the world, in Europe? I mean, you said that you've done the army or in Okitz, and you've been in Miluim, right? You fought for this country. You're a patriot. You believe in this country. How does it make you feel when you hear about people saying negative things about this country?
Just to sum up what I was talking about, the Druze in Syria, and
Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Oh, no, that's okay. But it's a very good point to just mention that, in my eyes, the true change in the world, instead of being all doom and gloom, started to change me when I start thinking of, okay, there's a lot of people trying to see what is not working and trying to fix it. I'm not gonna be in this spot.
Okay.
It's gonna make me very angry because things are not going in my way, or if I had the power, I would do it otherwise. And except and in
Say it in Arabic.
instead of doing that, I will see what is working and try to make it better, even slightly.
Okay.
day by day. And in my opinion, in October 7, if you will see the goodness in it, that there was Druze people, Druze heroes, that although we have a lot of dispute with Israel, and I'm sorry if I get too emotional, but we lost some very we lost heroes. Like we lost our best of the best. But those people like Ihsan Dakhse or Salman Hawaka that shouldn't be there in the first place, and they just did everything to come and fight with their Jewish friends. For me, if there's a rule in the Middle East is don't listen to what people say, just see what they act. So in a way, what I'm doing is for their name. I know that, those like we could never repay them for what they did. But if somehow what I'm doing will get people, Jewish people, Israeli people, closer to the Druze people, will, even if you buy from a Druze business and try to get to know each other, and you will see how beautiful that is, that I respect you for who you are and you respect me, and we both have ahavat chinam for one another. And in a spiritual way, because I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, I would say that if I will take those two cases of the Muslim world or the Gazans in particular and the Druze people, I have no doubt in my mind that the Druze people will prevail, they will build their own state because they go by true love. And if there's a lesson to be learned from what's happening in Gaza, it's about toxic love. Everybody who pretended to love the Gazans just had sheer excitement and joy for seeing their people getting dead.
You're talking about the rest of the Arab world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are happy with the Palestinians as long as they keep doing what they are doing and keep dying, and
No one even came to save them.
and nobody just said, "Hey, man, well, do we like from the river to the sea? Seriously, like, come on, we're not gonna throw the Jewish people because we don't want the Jewish people to throw in sea. So what you don't want to be practiced on you, don't try to practice it on other people. That's first. Second of all, if you don't see like there's a big like power or force discrepancy between you and them, let's try to think otherwise, maybe to accept them and accept the fact that you lost in 48, in 56, in 67, in 73. Like it's one thing to keep doing the same thing and trying to accept uh, different results, and hey, let's try to work it out somehow. But no, they are happy with it. But we, the Jewish people, because the unique aspects of the Druze, that we believe in reincarnation, as I told you. So according to my point of view or point of belief, I could die now and I will born in Syria. So I'm doing things for my own interest here. So I'm trying to, and this is just to close this Thailand and leaving Israel and whatever that is, because I told you I have a daughter. So I knew at some point the well-being of my daughter is deeply connected to the well-being of my friends' daughters in Syria. And this is what became the major thing of what I'm trying to do, just to bring them together. The Jewish people here, the Druze people there, Jewish people in Europe with the Druze people in Europe and everywhere. And it's working great because it is so simple just to accept other belief and accept the fact that if you are Muslim, then practice your Muslimhood in your own being. You may try to convince people or lead by example, and if there's anyone who want to be Muslim, so be my guest, but accept the facts that other people want, and that's okay.
I I'm not a deeply religious person either, but I do see that there is some beauty to religion if it's used in the correct way. If it gives you better values, if it helps you improve how you treat other people or your relationship with God or even improves yourself, it's a good thing. But once you start using it for hate, any religion that tells you to kill somebody if they're not your religion, that's it's already like an X for me.
And you know what is really disgusting about it? Like they like violence became so familiar. I just saw today a video that I'm gonna post on my Telegram channel. You have this imam, like a religious person, preaching with a gun, saying that you're gonna kill the infidels. And I say, I don't know what you are worshiping now, but if you are in this state, trying to convince other people to kill people that they never met or talked with, then you are a worshiper of Satan, whatever that means. You are a very evil person. Try to fix yourself, fix your ways. I don't preach, hey, we must kill all the Gazans. Or I truly believe that the Gazans deserve a better life. But in order to do this, they need to correct their ways because we're not going anywhere. And for us, as long as these ideologies are the same, it's either us or them. And to be honest, I love my daughter more than they are willing to hate their sons in order to die in their perverted means, like goals. Sorry.
Can we go back to our question about when you hear about what's going on in Chutz La'aretz, about all the anti-Semitism and everything and all the anti-Israel rhetoric there? How does that make you feel as an Israeli, as a Druze Israeli? Do you like take the side of Israel? Do you feel bad for Israel? Do you?
Well, I on last May 2024, I got invited by the University of Illinois to come and give a speech on anti-Semitism from the Druze perspective, trying to put my things to the pool of meaning. And I said something that if we got to this world that someone like me, instead of putting all his efforts to come and learn from this prestigious institution, instead of that, I will try to just give you an example of free speech or free belief, and that is wrong. Like anti-Semitism is wrong. Like we've been to this class. So like we've seen the results, and we've seen how this ends up. Then that tells a lot about the world that we are living. In my opinion, this is also the power of religious, because Europe somehow lost its identity, and now it's shaped by the people that came there escaping their bad realities. So you have this mishmash of ideologies that make no sense, trying to be nice to terrorists, and this is like it just give them more appetite to do whatever they are doing. And people think that if you yield or bow to those people, then they're gonna respect you. But it's not how this ideology goes, and this is not the framework that we are working in. As I said, if you're friends with the people that fled their terror reality in Syria or Sudan or Morocco or Libya or all those places or Iraq They are killing themselves. Nobody is hearing about it, and they fled, trying to have a better life in Europe. So, as a friend, you need to tell them what's wrong in their ways in order to bring a healthier society, and not try to make them
Create the same circumstances.
exactly. And that's what's strange about the whole thing. So, in my opinion, the world somehow got mad, but as I told you, I believe that it is all for the good. You have thesis, you had to have this antithesis, and somehow they synthesized together to understand that if Europe is gonna keep doing what it's doing right now, then their whole heritage is going away, and they are basically giving up for who they are. And this is how I see it. Like, I see it, anti-Semitism is a real phenomena because, you know, I talk about the Arabic anti-Semitism. I'm going to give you an example of why it's bad inherently, because it's not enough like to be Jew. As I said, the Druze people now got slaughtered out of anti-Semitism because somehow in their killers' eyes, they are friends with the Jewish people or the Jewish state or whatever that is. So there's a video that I've seen, as I told you, I watch the Telegram channels of the Gazans, and I've seen this video like 6 months to the world that some Izzeddin al-Qassam terrorist got out of his tunnels, and just to give a glimpse, like 6 months, for the first month, Air Force just dropped so many bombs in Gaza and evacuated the large places, and people got displaced. And you have this two, like a couple and some elder man, one of them with their fathers. So the couple is like, I don't know, 45 or 50 years old, and the elder man is 70 or 65 or something like that. But those people got displaced from their house, and they entered what they thought that is an empty place, because they asked the neighbor if they can sit in this place. And this place was Izzeddin al-Qassam terrorist fighting in the tunnels. And he got back and saw those people sitting in his house. And he came with the guns and his friends, and he's filming. And you can see how with a stick start beating the hell out of them. And the people, there's a trick to tell to Muslims that you can say Salli al Nabi. Salli al Nabi is like count to 10. That someone is a Muslim or a believer, once you say Salli al Nabi, he must repeat La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah or something like that. Just, hey, calm down for a second. And he didn't do that, because you asking me to do that, you want me to pray to the prophet, you worship Moses, you are Jewish, like, he got insulted. And then in his eyes, now this guy is a Jewish, and now I can do whatever I want. See, this is how it works.
Yeah.
It becomes a tool to do any wrong, and still in your own mind see it as all right or okay. And that's the perversion out of it. This is anti-Semitism, in my opinion, that once you dehumanize another person for some reason or for something, and try to think of him as a lesser person or someone that you could enslave. This is what's happening with the women, in the Druze women that are still kidnapped. And you will see how people are happy that those people, those women got kidnapped, because they like uh, they somehow, by doing so, and impregnate them, will help the ummah of becoming, the whole world is becoming Muslim, and you will see like normal people uh, like cheering for these atrocities. And this is the slippery slope of anti-Semitism. Once you accept that the other person, the other human being, is a less human being that you are.
How does it make you feel that you are put in this position to stand up for Israel?
Um, Now I love it. Now I love it because there's a saying in Arabic that Ali ibn Abi Talib said. He says, تكلموا تعرفوا فإن المرء مختبئ تحت لسانه.
Really? Okay, let me repeat that. Oh.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
what it means that when you speak, then you appear, and because the person is hiding under his tongue. So a lot of, and this is the main thing, like speak out your truth. And this is why I'm very quiet, or very in peace with what I'm doing, because first of all, I'm not just trying like to put the truth, hey, listen to me and do that. No, I'm putting everything to debate. Let's discuss things. Because a lot of Muslims don't really accept what's happening with like all the way the extremists are pulling everybody, but they are too afraid to speak out.
Yeah.
And I have the privilege to use their own language. Maybe I would change, I don't know, someone's mind. And I see now that I do podcasts in Arabic and see how people, Druze people, coming and debating and talking, something that was impossible a few years ago. People, Muslims, come. A lot of them will do this Pavlovian reaction. Hey, you are traitors and you are Zionists. We're gonna show you whatever and all those things. And maybe one of or two of them will try thinking otherwise about, like, I got engineered to think this way, to feel this way, but it wasn't natural, because it's not natural in my opinion. What happened in October 7 is not natural. It, like, to come to a place that to kill babies and to rape women, and you had disgusting things like a father and a son raping a Jewish girl just because she's Jewish. It's a girl that they never spoke with, they have absolutely no knowledge about who is she, and thinking this is a good thing. Then
In the name of Allah.
so this is why people like me should use the things that I have, that I learned, and put them out there to debate and see what will come out. And I know that if I will not speak, then I will agree with everybody in silence. And this is something that I'm not willing to do in any way, shape, or form, for the sake of my daughter, to be honest.
What do you think the future will be for the Druze in Israel? What is your hope for the future of the Druze in Israel?
Well, I seen it. I see the future now, and I see it shaping. Instead of being a minority, like in Hebrew, it's ben meotim, which is like a bad a thing to say. Like he's a ben meotim, which is equivalent to say he's not one of us. And
I never thought that way, by the way. I never thought that way.
In a ben meotim, they used to do it in the news channels when they tried to say an Arab person, or one of the bad people, but you can't say an Arabic. So they used ben meotim. And now I'm starting to think of it, and even the Druze people are trying to are starting to understand that, to fully understand that being a minority is not a weakness per se, but it has In Hebrew they say metei me'at, the only few. Metei me'at means that few people that have the privilege to die in Hebrew. This is the term, but uh, in general, there are more dead people than living people, and among those living people, there are minorities, and among those minorities, there's a small minority that is kept a minority, and it's comfortable with that, and you could call it an elite. And I could argue that if you look on it, what happened basically, Trump is the first king of the United States. His word is somehow divine in the eyes of many people. Like the popularity of this person now, it is unequivalent to things that I've ever seen. And Trump basically, because he had bad knowledge, asked Israel to not step in Syria or what's happening in Syria. I could tell you that this order came on January, like a month later from what happened in like after the fall of Bashar al-Assad regime. And you could see that Israel, along the way, somehow knew what's gonna happen to the Druze community, and it tried to it tried to maneuver what's happening. In the other one hand, the biggest country or supporter of Israel, the United States, is saying something, but their friend or their instincts are saying something else. And then things started to build up on Suwayda, and we had those tanks coming, and we've seen this disaster coming in, and Israel was holding back and trying, all this.
Well, don't forget, we have a war on every single front.
Exactly, and it is overwhelmed and overoccupied on its own plate.
Yeah.
And then you have the spiritual leader of the Druze people, like raising a flag and saying, hey guys, to the Druze people, this is an emergency. Everybody who can help, go and help your Druze people. And people went and broke the border. And we even like.
Do you know people who went?
I know some people that went. Yeah.
Did they come back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah.
Yeah. But just to tell how desperate the situation was, and all of a sudden you have the Air Force bombing in Suwayda, and bombing in Damascus, and bombing the headquarters of Giuliani's headquarters, chief of staff headquarters. And it's a mind-blowing that you have Sheikh Moffaq Tarif, that his word was last to Trump's. People didn't see it this way, but this is how powerful the relationship between the Druze and the Jews, because we fight the same wars. Governments will change. Now we have Trump, tomorrow we'll have Kamala Harris or whatever, what kind of, sorry for my English, an asshole who thinks that he knows better than us. But we need to live here, and we need to fight the same forces that are trying to destroy us. And this is why I think that I'm so proud of being Israeli or being Jews, although Israel is not a perfect state, like all states. But in my opinion, that just only says, okay, if we'll make it much better than we can't imagine how beautiful that is, because in my lifetime, I'm almost 40 years old. In the last 20 years, the changes in Israel in terms of how many people, Druze people, achieved such a great achievements, it's unthinkable. And to have a school in Yarka, who literally just got a satellite in outer space using Elon Musk platform. It's like crazy. It is crazy knowing how we grew up and how things started. So in my opinion, the skies is the limit and beyond.
Is there anything that you want to use? You want to use this platform to promote your podcast? Any lectures? Anything that you're doing? You want to speak to the audience? Is there anything that you want to promote for yourself?
First of all, I want to just say how beautiful what you just did, and thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. I had such a great fun speaking to you, and I do lectures. I speak about the Druze people. I'm not a historian. I'm just a person who gives my own perspective, and I tell the story of how I could see the Druze independence in Israel way long before anybody thought about it. And I would recommend to people that have Telegram to check my Telegram channel, Khalifa Shrugged, and
Well, I'll put links on everything so people can contact you.
yeah, thank you so much. And just write me. I love to speak to people, although I'm not the fastest in answering back, but I always love to hear feedbacks.
Can I just say that it was such an honor to meet you, and I want to thank you for all that you do for Israel, for the Druze people. I hope that one day I can come visit you and do some shepherding with you.
Yes, hell yes.
I would love it.
Yeah.
And it was just like a real honor for you to be here, and I appreciate your viewpoint. I appreciate your nochachut. How do you say that? Your presence in this country, and I wish us like continued friendship for many, many years.
I hope so. It makes two of us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Dana Show. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to the podcast, like and share with your friends on social media, and rate us 5 stars. Don't forget to tune in next week, and we'll see you then.